La conferencia del Dr. Steven Crocker se titula Presente y Futuro del Internet.
I was a child who spent a lot of time studying mathematics because it interested me. Perhaps I spent more time in mathematics than I should have, but I was very fortunate that it became useful. When I was in high school, I was able to find out where the computers were, and I started to hang around the computer centers. Now, in those days, computers were very big, and there weren't very many. They were principally in universities, in large companies, and the government. As I moved through my undergraduate career, I tried to set my sights on what I considered to be the most important problem, the most important things to study, and I became fascinated with artificial intelligence. And I went off to MIT, and for a short while I studied artificial intelligence there. And in short order, I found myself, quite by accident, in the middle of the beginning of the project that became known as the ARPANET. The ARPANET was the first large-scale network, but it was not the first network. There had been prior efforts, much smaller in scale, to connect two computers or three computers, sometimes far apart from each other, oftentimes within one location, within a university or within one department. I should also say about ARPA that as a research agency, they looked for very large, important projects. The slogan was a factor of 10, not 10%. So they looked for how to make a significant change. The network was grown from the western part of the United States toward the east. The first group of computers, the first group of laboratories, were 3 in California and 1 in the state of Utah. UCLA, by a stroke of luck, was the very first node on this network. So we had our work cut out for us, that even if we could get the hardware connected, and there was no hardware standards in those days, we had to build a special interface, figure out how to cut through the outer wall of the computer and find a way to connect it. And then we had to figure out how to modify the operating systems and the software in each computer in order to send bits out and in order to receive bits back in. And then we had the small chore of figuring out, once we figured out all that, what would they actually say to each other? What would we do with this network? The network continued to grow at approximately 1 node per month. Here's the node in June of 1970. Here it is several years later. We have to switch the form of writing these maps. Nowadays, of course, one can't do anything like that. That would be the map, maybe, if you're lucky, of what the network inside the university would look like or inside of one department. We didn't view the network as our network. We viewed it as belonging to all of the users, including new users who are not yet to be found. The other aspect of that venture is that we shared our ideas quite freely. ARPANET was built in the 1969, 1970, 1971 timeframe in the U.S. It triggered multiple activities elsewhere. Other countries took notice and decided that they too required a network. And then there were parallel technologies. We were building a terrestrial network, landlines, but we also started up research projects with packet radio, with satellites, and eventually it became very clear, eventually is the wrong word, it quickly became very clear that these networks needed to be connected to each other and that they couldn't all be exactly one network, that there needed to be a looseness about building new networks and connecting them. And that led to the notion of an internet, namely a network of networks. So the network working group evolved, as I said, and spawned the IETF and its senior partner, the Internet Architecture Board. When the domain name system was invented, which John had a part of and Paul Macapetris had a part of, it led to the creation of top-level domains, a handful for the U.S. government and the educational institutions, .edu, and nonprofit organizations, .org. Spend just a few minutes on the part that I was told was the whole point of coming here, to tell you what's going to happen in the future. And the reason why I haven't spent much time on it is because I have no idea what's going to happen in the future any more than you do. I do want to offer up one or two predictions. An easy one, of course, is that there will be greater and greater bandwidth at lower price, more widely available to everybody. The things that have made a difference are to work on important things rather than small projects that are self-serving, to work for the betterment of others. Another element of this is to work well with others, not to demand credit, it takes care of itself, to enable others and to form teams. It is important to take initiative, to assert oneself wherever you see something that is not right or not done or a hole. Take some effort to fill it. And there's one other extremely important piece of advice, particularly important that you have an opportunity here to do better than most, which is bring chocolate. And everything goes better with chocolate. Thank you very much.